Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. The day yesterday and the day before yesterday, we talked about how we can strengthen our will to be able to compete in the way of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And today we will talk about the deeds that people compete for. What is the deed? What is the deed that we should compete in? We know now how we can increase and strengthen our body and our spirit and our soul to compete for the sake of Allah. So, what is the deed that we should be competing in? So the competition in this area in this area mandates for every Muslim to love to be like the one who performed these deeds well and regularly, and to use the chance to accomplish them before it is too late. That is the area of competition. Competitions in the areas related to the worldly affair are rightful and permissible, and are not prohibited and unlawful. It is rightful and desirable for Muslim not to accept to be behind or in the bottom with regard to benefit related to both faith and the hereafter or benefit related to the worldly life. Muslim should not be behind in any way in competition to earthly matters or the hereafter. And faith and belief is a high honor that takes the hand of the believer to the highest of ranks and dives him and diverts him from being satisfied with the minimum and the less of everything. Muslim and believers really take the advantage and make the best of everything. So it's important for us to utilize the chance of time and the blessed times that we go through Ramadan and through the whole year in collecting and harvesting a lot of benefit and a lot of rewards. So competition in the area of what is worldly is not unlawful. It is permissible and it's actually been encouraged. So the competition and the Muslim being ahead would be applied to earthly matters and hereafter matters. As there is benefit, regardless if it is worldly and earthly or for the hereafter. Benefits are benefits and goodness is our goodness. So we should be competing in all avenue and not to accept to be behind. It was narrated by Tabarani on the authority Al-Hasan ibn Ali, may God be pleased with both of them, that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, Allah the Almighty loves the best of everything, and what is done well, and dislike what is irrelevant and what is not done well. So Allah the Almighty loves the best of everything, and what is done well. Allah loves what is done well. If any one of you did a deed, let him do it well. And Allah also dislike what is irrelevant and what is not done well. So the believer draw his honor from the honor of his faith. He competes with time and place, ascending to the highest of everything of what he wants with regard to his faith and the worldly matter. And that is the honor of the faith and the honor of the belief. It is the honor of the Muslim and the believer to be ahead and to be among the foremost in everything that is righteous. So it is a condition when competing toward what is beneficial in this life not to be connected with mischief and harm to other, like arguments, boycott, and fighting. So that's a condition, is that when competing toward what is beneficial in this life, not to be connected with mischief and harm to others, like argument, boycott, and fighting. It is not lawful. It is not lawful to compete to have the better life and be linked to envy that can lead to the loss of faith. Allah prohibits us to envy one another and to be part of a competition that might lead to it. So any competition that it will lead to envy of one another, Allah prohibited such a competition. It was narrated in Sahih Muslim on the authority of Abu Hurairah, may God be pleased with him, that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, the Prophet, peace be upon him, said, do not spy on each other. Do not wrongfully compete. Do not envy each other. And do not hate one another. And don't boycott one another. And be brother worshipping Allah. That's a clear hadith from the Prophets. Don't spy on one another. Don't wrongfully compete. Don't envy one another. Don't hate one another. Don't boycott one another. And be brother worshipping Allah. That is the purpose of our existence, is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and worship Allah together as brothers. So when we compete to the point that wishing one another wrong or badly, this is when it is prohibited by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the competition in the area of earthly matters, in deeds that will lead to the hereafter, and in righteous deeds that will cover everyone with goodness and everyone with benefit. And the Prophet said that faith and envy will not gather in one heart. So if you have faith, you will never have envy to anybody. And if you have faith and you find that you are envious of somebody else, that you have to look and thirst your heart for that correct faith. So my dear brother and sister, the best in what you compete in with regard to the worldly matter are deeds that will help you succeed in the hereafter. And that was confirmed by Imam Ahmad on the authority of Yazid ibn al-Aknas, that the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, there is no competition among you except in two issues. Here is the Prophet clarifying thing. He said, there is no competition among you except in two issues. What are they, O Prophet of Allah? A man, Allah bestowed on him the blessing of the Quran. He recited by night and by day, and follows it in all his deed. Another man would say, if Allah bestowed on me exactly what He gave, what He gave, so and so, I would do exactly what He does. So this is the first area that we actually compete in. A man that Allah bestowed on him the blessing of the Quran, he recited by night and by day, and follow it in all his deeds. And another man would say, if Allah bestow on me exactly what He gave, so and so, I would do exactly what He does. And and second, a man, Allah give him lots of money, which he spent and gave in charity. A man would say, if Allah give me like what he gave so and so, I would spend and I would give exactly as he did give in charity. So this is the two areas of competition. Is the area of a person who recite the Quran and get and have that gift, and he recited by day and night, and he actually reflected on his deed. And the second is a man that Allah give a lots of money and a lot of wealth, he give out in charity and in good deeds. And the man would say, if Allah give me as much money as like so and so, I would give in charity and voluntarily as much as he does. So there is a difference between envy, which is to wish for someone to lose his blessings, and being happy for some wishing to have what he has without wishing for him to lose the blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed on him. So it is very clear a difference between envy somebody bad and wishing for somebody to lose the blessing that Allah bestowed on him, and actually someone wishing to have what the others has without wishing them any loss of the blessing or any kind of blessing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed on them. Imam al-Bayhaqi said, a man, when he heard the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, when he said there is no envy except in two, he offered the Prophet a deal. What do you think, O Prophet of Allah, about a man who is courageous and he is very helpful and he save anybody who asks for help? And a man like this would be also be envied for his courageous self and his courageous posture. And as the Prophet and the Prophet said, it is not the same like a man who spend for the sake of Allah and a man who recite the Quran day and night and reflect on his deed what the Quran teach. So being courageous is not the same like being charitable and being giving and reciting the Quran and reflecting it in your life, in your daily activity. So the Prophet said it's not the same being courageous like the Quran and having the Quran and being charitable. So very important again to understand the difference between envy, which is to wish for someone to lose his blessing, and being happy for someone, wishing to have what he has without wishing for him to lose the blessing that Allah bestowed on him. Very big difference between envy and being envious of someone and being happy for someone for what he has and what Allah bestowed on him. So wishing for others to keep what they have of blessing and to have what you have like them, that is commendable and is good. So again, very important to understand the difference between envy, someone and being happy for someone and wishing what to have like what he has. And Imam is reiterating the fact that envy will always eat up a person. The fire of envy can destroy a person. So, my dear brother and sister, now we know that mandatory competition are applicable to the blessings related to faith, like the blessing of belief, mandatory prayer, and charity. So, how can we compete in this area? How we can compete in prayer and charity and belief and faith and conviction? So if we compete in all the deeds that will, the earthly deed that will help us in the hereafter, it would be more deserving to compete in the area of worship, the area of prayers, the area of charity that will lead us to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and take us to Allah. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bestowed on us a lot of blessings of worships and blessings and worships that we should talk about and we should be have clear in our mind, so inshallah would compete in it. And that is the subject of tomorrow, how we can compete in the area of prayers, compete in the area of charity and giving, and compete in the area of faith and worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we should learn all this so we can act upon it, inshallah, in everything that we do. Wassalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. If you have any question, please don't hesitate to ask.